Bonjour, everyone, and welcome to this edition of In Bed with the Fitness Industry. I am Nathalie Lacombe, your coach and Cupid for your fitness career and your fitness business. And I am incredibly pleased to be joined by the wonderful Trevor Pickett today. Bonjour, Trevor.
Bonjour, how are you?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. For those of you who haven't had the pleasure of connecting yet with CanFit Pro Trainer, founder of Offbeat Fitness Education, Trevor Pickett, he was somebody I absolutely wanted to get in bed from afar, as usual, because we're still doing this in a distanced way. But he's somebody I absolutely wanted to bring into bed with us in order to share what he's accomplished and worked through the past couple of years, because not only has Trevor been consistently present and incredibly generous through his fitness education for fitness professionals out there, training clients in new and novel ways more than ever before, but he's also an award-winning PTS, so personal training specialist, pro trainer now with CanFit Pro, as well as a condition and a continuing education instructor. And Trevor has been nominated, so was one of the top 3 nominees for Fitness Professional of the Year with CanFit Pro in personal training. He's featured on a ton of different media outlets, including CBC Radio. And I am so happy that we managed to find a time to join ourselves in bed today. Welcome, Trevor.
Thank you. Wow, that was awesome.
Was that awesome?
I feel like I
You're
feel
like,
like I need you
what?
every morning to give me that rundown, so I feel better about my. No, that's awesome. Thank you.
I'll send you a little recording of that bit there. But it is true. I've managed to see it from afar, or from, thanks to social media, to see it up close and see everything that you've done over the last couple of years. Thank you for joining us in bed. You are somebody that's got a similar wake up time to me. So you're a 9 p.m. asleep, 5:30 a.m. waker upper. Is
Mm-hmm.
that because of the dog that you get up that early, or has that always been your routine?
You know what? It's not for the dog. Our dog is hilarious. She is the last one out of bed. She's out at she got up early today at like 7:30 this morning. But
Huh.
normally I think she knew it snowed, so she got up early. But she'll be up. I sometimes I got to get her out of bed at like 8 a.m. To come out. So the early thing for me is just conditioned from working in this business for so long.
Yeah.
Um, I like to joke around that now I sleep in till 5:30 because, as you probably know, right? I mean, if you've worked in this business at all, you've probably gotten up at 4:30 in the morning for certain gigs, and so yeah, that's just conditioned. And I don't know, I just feel good if I get up then. I feel like I'm kind of like on it for the day.
And yeah, and it's nice, and you're able to do, also playing with different time zones and things like that. But yes, personal trainers tend to work when other people don't. So mornings and evenings tend to be a really popular time. Tell me, oh, and by the way, if anybody wants to see Trevor's beautiful dog, she's featured on his social media quite regularly. I'm a fan. So it's just a little extra bonus of following Trevor, and we'll put all the handles through the podcast and on the social media tiles and through the YouTube, so that you guys can find Trevor really easily. But tell me a little bit about the past couple of years. You, it seems, very quickly jumped into a place of action and solutions when the industry shut down at the beginning of 2020. How did you manage to see those as opportunities, to see people's lack of access to fitness as an opportunity, and really kind of turn it around quickly in order to be able to keep serving? How did you manage to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that it was all conscious. I think the big thing for me, I mean, I was thinking about it the other day, that 2020 February, March, and I got
Mm.
the emails from different gym owners that I was teaching classes at or training clients out of. And then, of course, CanFit Pro, we had to shut down all of our courses. And I was like everybody else, I'm like, wow, I am out of a job right now. Like, I am
Mm.
out of work. And yeah, we were like that for 2 months, which for me was was like, it was like everybody else. It was terrifying for a little while there. And then when I started to get those opportunities, we started at CanFit Pro. They started talking. They said, "Hey, do you think that you can teach this course online?" We had a big meeting, and I know you were there too. And I just said, "You know what, man? Like, I'm fighting for milk right now, so I can do it. I will definitely figure out all the logistics, everything I could possibly do." And yeah, they gave me that opportunity, and we did our first course, I think, in June of 2020 online. And if anything, it's opened up more opportunities. So it was like that total story of the things being flipped. Now I can teach more often. We got people in different time zones. We've got our first international students. I've had a fellow from India take the course. We've had people in Greece, Mexico, all over the place. So, yeah, I'd love to say that I strategized all that and planned all that. But I think I was really lucky for a big part of that. And I mean, the other thing, just realizing that, I was joking around with somebody that I remember when the pandemic broke out, one of the gym owners phoning me up and saying, "Hey, Trevor, we got to shut down for a couple of weeks till this COVID thing gets figured out." Yeah. And I said, "Yeah, they'll have it figured out in a couple of weeks, right?"
2 weeks to flatten a curve.
Exactly, right? And sure enough, I started to quickly realize, okay, I'm talking to my friends who are doctors, and they're like, "No, Trevor, it's going to be a while, and this is going to be something that's going to probably be, the new normal for a while." So I started reaching out to clients and saying, "How can we do this over Zoom and everything like that?" And it's been sort of up and down in terms of figuring that all out. So in the beginning, teaching online was shaky. It was tough. I'm still figuring it out, but we've got it down to a pretty fine art now. So it's been, I guess.
It looks like it because, and I mean, you're being very humble, which doesn't surprise me at all. But I do think that, it was a crisis, and desperate times, sure, led to you saying yes to something. But you being where you are in your career is because you say yes to the right opportunities. So you've made your own luck more than you would probably take credit for. I do certainly believe that that's the case. And having had the pleasure of reading some of the testimonials from the students that you've had on those online classes, like everybody had to figure it out, but your diligence in creating enjoyable and empowering experiences are clear when you read the testimonials of the students that have gone through your courses. So you've done a phenomenal job with that. And it's set an example for a lot of the educators in Canada and around the world to be able to do so. So I thank you for that, because you will be incredibly humbled. And if you guys want to see more of that, you can have a look at, so I think the easiest place to find you probably at Offbeat Trainer on Instagram, or Offbeat Fitness Education, to see the education that you guys provide when it comes to all of that. And a dog. See,
the dog's how I keep everyone coming back.
You know what? You got something. It is certainly something that's there. And you moved during this time too. So what led to the decision to move out east, to get out of the big smoke of the biggest city, where some people would think are the biggest opportunities, but to create a different life for you and your family out east?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably in the similar camp of a lot of people, that the pandemic and being at home all day and everything like that started to maybe just expose things about our everyday lives that we didn't really think about as much. Our home in Hamilton, we only lived there for 2 years, and we were starting to be like, starting to feel a little claustrophobic in our space, which is funny because we moved from Toronto to Hamilton, and we're like, we got all this extra space. But once we realized that doing our jobs online was a possibility, and being able to do that, I said, you know what? I mean, I've dreamed of living out in the country for as long as I can remember, owning a little bit of land and stuff like that, and just changing it up. I really feel like, with health, I mean, it's great if you're somebody that's starting on your fitness journey, you choose you choose something, right? You say, okay, I'm going to get a gym membership, or I'm going to start eating properly. But I think there's almost like levels to this. And the next level is kind of making fitness permeate every part of your life. So in terms of our mental health and everything like that, I mean, this isn't, the country is not for everybody, but for us, I'm like, okay, that's going to be, I literally want my everyday to be, like my everyday tasks to be improving my health. So every little thing we have to do, we have about 5 acres on our main lot here that we've got to do, gardening and all this different things. I've got to do all the old school stuff, firewood and all that. And I just think of it as a gift, because every day I'm like, okay, there's no choice whether I get to exercise or not. I have to do that. So yeah, I mean, I've always been a nature lover and dreamed of having my own forest and all that kind of hippy dippy stuff. So yeah, we just took opportunity, and of course, the housing market thing is a big contributor there as well. But yeah. So I guess opportunity, and just sort of like similar before, said yes, decided to say yes.
I love that you chose to reflect on that and to reprioritize in that way. And that's definitely something that was in you. Are there any other skills, or looking at the attitude or the reflections that you have had that have really helped you through this, tough business time, tough time for our business, tough time for fitness, tough time for health in general? What else has helped you with that?
I guess, I mean, maybe in the same vein of just that saying yes thing. I mean, you and I were talking earlier about it, like, we could say yes too much to certain opportunities, and we were joking around, and you can get like burnt out and stuff. But
a little bit, maybe a little bit.
And of course, and I've been guilty of that. This past summer, I worked myself to the bone because I was, didn't want to, give up any opportunities. But at the same time, I think business, there's a couple of big things I think that are really tough to do, but they're kind of essential for business. And one of the biggest is patience, because switching to something new, there's almost like this instinct that everything should change right away. Like, okay, I decided to adopt this online thing, so I should be making this online, money or whatever it is, opportunity. And it's just like anything else. If you switch to it, great. But yeah, you're going to have to be patient, and before you're going to start to see those results. If you told me that we were going to be still doing this online a few years ago and doing all this stuff, and it was actually going to grow my business, I would have been like, you're crazy. This is what I'm going to do to fill the time until we can get back to our live courses. But no, I think, that adaptability is maybe the other thing, is that things are always going to change. That's the constant, especially in fitness. And it's always been that way, right? It's always been different ways of doing things. Online was already a business before COVID, doing things online. It already was a pretty viable business solution. So yeah, I guess patience is probably the biggest thing for me, is just, and I have to tell myself this, okay, I've just launched this new course, or planted this new seed, and I may have to sort of sit tight and let it grow a little bit. Probably the biggest thing with the industry, though, has been, just from a practical standpoint, trying to have as a couple of different revenue streams has probably been a one. So I have my personal training business, but the education side, and yeah, just looking at other opportunities where we can, if one thing falls, do we have our backup? And I think that will help with the patient side of things, because you're not worried about money or finances and stuff like that.
It's interesting. And I would imagine spending time on the land will help you understand, help you reconnect that, like seed, and then the crop's going to take some time, and nature's going to do its thing. And you're not going to pull everything out if it doesn't work the first year. And you're like, let's try some different compost. I'm not a very good gardener, but I'm assuming these kinds of things would relate back to that, and that there's, Yeah, nature takes its course, and so does business when it comes to these things. And it's tough with patience, and it's tough when there's uncertainty. I think when we've got something that's solid when it comes to our revenue, where our ability for risk is a little, or comfort with risk is a little bit different. But we've all played with that agility around risk and trying new things and opening up our wheelhouse to things that we realize we do really well and we can serve with others. And you did that, amongst other things, by launching your continuing education course called Troubleshooting Movement, which I love the title of. I find that really cool. How are you trying to help your fellow trainers, coaches, instructors with this course? What are you looking to improve with them so they can improve the life of others?
Yeah, I mean, troubleshooting movement was, so again, it was something that came out of the opportunity of the pandemic. Those 3 months, 2 or 3 months where I was out of work like everybody else, I was like, okay, I got to do something. And I've had a little notebook where I'd write down little ideas I have from just watching people move, teaching group fitness classes, personal training, and just observations and thousands of hours of just watching people do their thing and starting to put down those ideas. And what they kind of equate to is just all my little tips and tricks, all the things that in the moment when a client is struggling with movement, all the little things that, like, okay, I remember this 10 clients ago, this person, these 3 things worked. If these 3 things don't work, then this other thing might work, and bringing all those little things in. The only problem with that is that it takes time. It's an experience thing. So the course is really born out of me trying to take all that experience, which is still ongoing. I'm still learning like everybody else, but to make it a course. And I mean, the story I tell in the manual is my first day being a boot camp instructor, just teaching like group classes. And I remember having done personal training for a number of years. That was like a big, like, got my butt kicked moment, because I was going up to somebody and I'm like, hey, you're having trouble with your squat. Here's some few, let's make some adjustments. And then, man, the buzzer goes off because it's like a HIIT class or something. They're like, I didn't have time to actually do the extra, and they're running off. And I just remember being so overwhelmed because I'm like,
oh, that's adorable.
I'm trying to help. The perfectionist in me is not allowing everybody to have that form in the class, So I very quickly started to adopt fast, efficient ways of adjusting movement so that we could get something closer to personal training level, but in a group training setting. And then when I went to group training studios, that the gym owners, they really liked having me on staff for that reason, because they show up and they'd be like, okay, here's Mary. Mary has severe back pain. She had a knee replaced 5 years ago. She's got a lot of restrictions. Go, right? And so I'd see the person move, and yeah, I'd use started to try to adopt critical thinking to be able to deal with multiple clients quickly. And then what gym owners loved the most was after the session, I could talk to the clients and say, hey, here's some homework exercises for you to be able to do these things. So, or warm up. This is something I want you to think about. Here's modifications for the next class if you're struggling with this. And the members were like, hey, this is great because I'm getting something more personal from a group fitness
format kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm actually thinking, I'm like, you know what, I might take it myself, because I feel like it's a nice opportunity even on virtual when because it is fast and you've got 20 people in a Zoom room or something like that, trying to coach little things that make a difference. And it is a point, because I mean, I've been doing pretty much exclusively on virtual now for about 1.5 years. And there's a point where you're like, I feel like I've said this 87 times now, and it was super clever when I came up with it. But if somebody starts to feel like they're about at the point where we're going to start rolling their eyes going there, that's not helping anymore. Nathalie, come up with something new. And this is when this collaborative effort can really help, and things that are fast and meaningful, as long as they're done, again, mindfully, which is, I know that as absolutely your style. I love the idea of that. And you're super generous because you have offered a 30% discount to all of our viewers and listeners as long as they get in touch with you. So on social media or through the website at www.offbeatfitness.com, they can get 30% off the troubleshooting movement course. And so I say thank you to that. Merci beaucoup, everybody. You just got to write in bed and get in touch with Trevor, and he will give you that 30% off offer for that.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for that. Another thing that's been really cool has been that Fitness Professional of the Year nomination that you received back in August. Has that impacted the way you do things, the opportunities you have, the vision you have of your career moving forward? What has that given you? That top, to know that you're the top 3 personal trainers in Canada. How does that feel? How's that given you a boost?
It probably the biggest, this will sound woo-woo-y, but the biggest thing has been confidence, in the sense that, or maybe validation. I feel like throughout most of my career, whether it was personal training or as a pro trainer, I never doubted that I did a good job, but I always feel like this guy that's kind of in the background, sort of chipping away, doing his thing. And yeah, when the nominations were coming out this past, I guess it would have been spring, or it would have been last spring. I started to get some clients. I had a client, and then I had some students that were pushing me to submit my name for nomination, and they were submitting my name as well. One of my clients is a personal trainer, so she's gets the CamFit Pro things, and she was like on me. She's like, you need to do this. So I did, and I didn't think too much about it. I was like, okay, this would be really cool, but there's just so many amazing trainers out there. And yeah, when I got the news, I was just floored. But I think the other side of that, though, is it was nice just to have some kind of recognition or validation. I haven't been a trainer. I've been a trainer for 10 years, which isn't like the longest, but it's a pretty significant amount of time. And to get that kind of validation was huge for me. I've definitely gotten over, years ago, I got over my imposter syndrome, but it was nice to like have that extra, get over moment for me. So I think that's been a big boon for me. Business wise, I mean, it's nice to let your clients know that you had that recognition and stuff like that. But for me, I think it's just been more of like a validation and a confidence booster, I guess.
I find it interesting that you say that you were floored, because as a CanFit Pro advisory panel member, I was not surprised at all when I saw your name in the top 3 there. It was you see the names and you're like, yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. Good. So it's a nice thing to see out there. And I find it's interesting what you say about the confidence, and a little bit, like we said earlier, I had a conversation about how we're getting a little bit to the point where we're running on fumes at the end of the year, because it's been, I mean, we have hustle years, and it's a hustle industry, but has it been hustle? It feels like 2020 was the what's going to happen, let me try this, let me try that, and then 2021 was like sink your teeth into it, sink your nails into it and everything, and just go. So while you are hustling, sometimes you go so fast from what's the next thing, how can I grow, how can I serve, what can I do? And it's nice to have somebody slow you down a little bit and be like, you're actually doing really great. You're not just, paddling in empty space. You're actually doing really, really great. And so I'm glad that is what is the impact that I had on you. One, because you absolutely deserve it. It's incredibly valid and warranted for you to get that recognition. But if it also helped you then continue to serve the industry through your CC courses, through your pro training, as well as those clients, and get to more of those clients, we all need, I mean, it's all part of health, right? That self-confidence is a huge part of mental health, and mental health has an impact on everything else that we do. And so I'm really happy to hear that that's the impact that it had on you.
Definitely.
I would love to close off knowing, so we're heading into 2022, the start of what'll be an entirely different year. We know a little bit more. I guess there's more comfort in the uncertainty, I suppose, going into 2022, but looking at our industry, looking at what you're doing, what your colleagues are doing, what fitness pros are doing, what inspires you, what makes you feel good about what we might have learned the last couple of years and is a springboard for us all to continue to learn and grow moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about this in my course all the time when we get to start talking about career opportunities in business. And one of the things that was most inspiring was that initial part of the pandemic when I saw all the trainers, all the fitness instructors, just doing whatever they could, getting creative. I mean, watching people doing kettlebell swings with paint buckets and all kinds. And I remember thinking, like, wow, like these guys are tough as nails. And I think if you're watching this and you're a fitness pro that's still at it right now, you should give yourself a tremendous pat on the back, because
Absolutely.
all of us have just been fighting like crazy. And I think you hit it on the head when you said that, like, there seems like there's a, now that we've accepted uncertainty, there's almost like a little bit of comfort there, the comfort of knowing that we might get a little uncomfortable. Just to answer your question, I guess what inspires me is everybody around me and seeing how innovative they are. Yourself included, like everybody just seems like they've adopted all these different modes of getting the message out there or doing their business. So for me, I'm just trying to stay sharp. I'm trying to keep up on what's happening. What's the best way to reach clients? What's the best way to reach other fitness pros that want education and stuff like that? So I'm trying to stay on the research as best as I can. 2022. I mean, it's funny that you were talking about 2021. I remember thinking I didn't even know what year it was at parts of 2021. I'm like, is it still 2020? Like,
no, time is weird.
Yeah.
Time is it's stretched, it's compacted. Time doesn't matter. Time doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. No. So 2022, I just feel like I've got to come into it just like I did with 2021. Come out swinging and just be in that mindset that, yeah, we might get uncomfortable. I do think things are going to get better in that we're going to have dual opportunity. Gyms are opening up again. Things are starting to look a little more normal. Personal trainers, from what I hear, are like, there's waiting lists for personal trainers at a lot of gyms. So
absolutely,
there is room if you want to be in this. If you want to get to work, there's tons of work out there. So I think that's super inspiring.
It's nice to know that as and speaking to the Canadian population, is that's what you are, and I say Canada because you're offering your programs coast to coast with everything that you do on digital, virtually. It's nice to know that those people who are more than ever focused on their physical, mental, immune, and social health have phenomenal fitness leaders who are inspiring and stay inspired as much as possible to help them through that. And so I thank you for doing that. I thank you for taking the time to get in bed today. I look forward to when it will be the moment where we can spend some time in person. But in the meantime, your impact virtually and your impact through social and everything else, it has certainly not gone unnoticed. I congratulate you for everything that you've done, and I wish you tremendous success and invite everybody again to reach out. Trevor's incredibly generous with essentially everything that he has to be able to support the industry and support people's health. And so feel free to reach out to him at Offbeat Trainer. Feel free to connect and take advantage of that 30% off the troubleshooting movement course, and much, much health and success to you and your family, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure as always.